Since 2005, the U.S. has been planning to kill Gustavo Galarza. That is why they create the false Annabella case, so that Gustavo feels cornered and flees in terror from the harassment, blackmail and extortion of the Argentine and American state. In July 2015, the mandate of Cristina Kirchner's second government expired. As Gustavo Galarza sent Cristina on July 10, 2014, a document letter, the provision of the intelligence law is 1 year old. That former international criminal prosecutor Moreno Ocampo says that side has worked for the CIA since the dictatorship. They work in tandem to eliminate Gustavo Galarza, the side CIA. They always seek to turn him into a criminal, to justify the collection of the side agency files since 1997, to eliminate the twin domicile and substitute identity with the Quiroga family. What are they historically? Addicts and criminals. But since it doesn't work out, and with a disability standard, to continue supporting the permanent monitoring of Gustavo Galarza's condition and through his family. That is why Gustavo given an AUH for a disabled child. They make Gustavo Galarza's mother a guardian, violating Law 26,667, to have the ideal trigger output, madness plus hospitalization, to eliminate Gustavo Galarza, and motivate permanent discord with the family. Its permanent message. The newspaper La Nación reported it on November 14, 2020. Here we are going to put the article by the chronicler Martina Rua. We tell you that 2 weeks ago they came back with the same thing. That my family was going to sue me again. For the United States government, it is like chess. He always seeks to protect the king. The king was former President Nestor Kirchner and the Clarin Holding Company. As of 2007, the queen is former President Cristina Kirchner. The bishops were the former governor Scioli in the province of Buenos Aires and the former head of government Mauricio Macri in the federal capital.
That's why we showed Celeste sit in a CTD video. The Argentine actress was a trap in 2014. If Gustavo went inside the shopping center, El Solar de la Abadia, they were going to report that Gustavo was harassing a celebrity. They were going to use it as an excuse, with their families to tell them, madness, harassment, depravity, rape, theft. They were going to use Mauricio Macri and some hospitals in Caba. The federal police PFA, Cristina, Mauricio Macri. But the trap didn't work. To the furious madman who bothers the neighbors. The trap with Celeste Cid was the priest's first plan. The dissemination by the Argentine news media, to cover up the Clarin Holding, the newspaper La Nación and the
It includes the invention of pedophilia, why the police introduced an accomplice who named her in the program, Chiquititas Little Girls, in 1998, for crimes and outrages against women, for cheating with a professor and a classmate at the University of Moron.
That is why the demagogic interest of the bishopric of Moron and that of San Isidro, for my brother from Martinez. In democracy and with the possibility of permanent judicial discretion, it does not exist that Gustavo Galarza cannot defend himself, and only speaks the permanently installed
Clarin
plot.
totally puts its fingers in the mud, with the family of my ex-partner Lorena.
In February 2010, when we went on vacation, both Lorena, with her 2 children and her ex-husband with his wife, they found out from Stornelli and journalists from the Clarin media, about the false Annabella case. Why they do it? Through Ariadne's labyrinth, we will always go unpunished, they say. They left their hands marked with my other relatives who were notified and the professors and students of the University of Moron. They wanted to create a case of outrage with an advertising professor, to get on the elevator alone with her, but I greeted her and went alone down the stairs to the 9th floor. Do you remember the Republican NGO Basis? Its lawyer Valeria Viola. They wanted to create a rape case with a classmate Valeria, both cases being monitored by the police. As Gustavo says in CTD, Milei is an invention of the US government, the media, including Holding Clarin, and politicians, comes to government, because he is promoted by the CFK Victory Front, to counteract the advance of Macri and Loretta's Together for Change, in public opinion and Congress. In turn, he was helped by Mauricio Macri, who overthrew his own candidates. First he did it with Loretta and then with Bullrich in favor of Milei. Because Milei is the best screen for managing the US plan to hide it from public opinion, Milei protects the queen, the game is always the same. The bishops in that case are Leo Nardini and Alex Kisilov in the province of Buenos Aires, and Mauricio Macri's cousin, Jorge Macri in the federal capital. They continue with the same pretensions, that Gustavo interns himself, so that it ends in Carrillo, in the Pinheiro Hospital or another. They invented a Gallardo prescriber in February 2024, in the first months of Bullrich.
So that Gustavo ends up in Angel Gallardo in Caba. It is a subway station, near Aguero and Santa Fe streets, the location of a psychologist that Gustavo attended. Investigating with the previous video, the Argentine government page, argentina.gov.ar. Where is the mental and/or public health law? 26,667. Above you can see a link, which goes to the Ramon Carrillo Hospital. Carrillo is the same as Carrillo de los Polvorines, where I was internee in 2015. Says, former Colonia Montes de Oca, located in Torres, Luján Province, Buenos Aires. Go to Gustavo Dario Galarza's video on YouTube. There the case of Fernando Gonzalez and his wife in Luján is explained. Case of gender violence, the city of Torres is because of my cousin Ariel Torres, so that I feel overwhelmed by constant harassment and extortion. extortion, for the community. All the corrupt Argentines. In useful information, the keys. Red is crimes or lies, yellow is security, and green on the phone refers to sex. In procedures come online services and certificates for the community. It certifies everything it does. You have to recognize it, because we certify it. Lies, because Gustavo has intellectual property and complaints. The satellite is not scientific and lies all the time. Not only does he lie, he falsifies the data. With the interference of third parties, the data changes. Then he says, rehabilitation and inclusion. You will see the logo is in purple. Violet, rape or pedophilia. HCRC. Those three little hands, the top one means, wings or vampire, that repeated in fashion. The one below, the two hands with the second finger that means fuck or sex. The C means ass. Rehabilitation and social inclusion. Departments of recreational, sports and social inclusion practices. That I intern, for what? The US government, the Argentine government and the Argentine media. They dream that they are going to keep me hospitalized, of my own free will. They are going to experiment on me and record me, I show on YouTube, of the false information that they spread and defame, about my organs, my penis and my ass that the satellite touches me. They dream that I will recognize all, lie, it's all false.
They repeat the logo, HC and RC, in the middle, love. We explain it, they are talking about sex. Teaching and research. Formative and scientific training department. The satellite repeats to me and all the media, that they do science with Gustavo. Lies do not make science, and Law 26,667, we are going to show you that they protect people's scientific and sensitive data. People who are declared with disabilities and mental health have their data protected and the patient must give consent for the experimentation. That protects and also clarifies that professionals must fully have scientific training and be appropriate to scientific ethics. The satellite and all the criminals who interfere in Gustavo's life. They are delusional, criminals and nosy partisans, they are not scientists. They are entered to change the data, so that the data is false, due to permanent harassment and extortion. That is Ariadne's labyrinth, they recognize it. Article 7. -2 ND paragraph. Retroactivity established by law cannot affect rights protected by constitutional guarantees. Do you remember that we cited Articles 18, Article 19 and Article 29 of the Argentine Constitution? All that protects me. Article 10. Abuse of the right. The regular exercise of one's own right or the fulfillment of a legal obligation cannot constitute any act as illicit. The law does not protect the abusive exercise of rights. It is considered such to be that which contradicts the purposes of the legal system or that which exceeds the limits imposed by good faith, morality and good customs. Article 14. Individual rights and collective impact. This code recognizes A. Individual rights. B. Collective incidence rights. The law does not protect the abusive exercise of individual rights when they may affect the environment and the rights of collective impact in general. My rights are individual. You see that I tell them, take a collective action. It is totally a lawyer against another lawyer. This is important, because of the satellite that defames me all the time, my human body. The rights over the human body or its parts do not have a commercial value, but rather an effective, therapeutic, scientific, humanitarian or social value and can only be available by their owner as long as some of these values are respected and as provided by special laws. It is clear that all the data the CIA goes through, by Article 19 of the National Constitution, by the Habeas Data Law or Protection of Personal Data, by the Civil and Commercial Code Law 26,994, Articles 17, 51, 52, 58 and 59, research in human beings and informed consent respectively. It is very clear that all the data that the CIA defames are pure and exclusive to the owner Gustavo Galarza. Any discord they generate will be resolved in a trial. Article 23. Exercise capacity. I have full political rights, that's why I vote. Rights the same as anyone. I can be a witness and reporter of any criminal act. Article 24. People incapable of exercising. Let's go to Section C. The person declared incapable by a court ruling, to the extent provided in that decision. I am declared disabled. It is a medical restriction but not a political one. Article 27. Talks about emancipation. Give examples of emancipation. Here, I am going to tell about my political right. I have been emancipated since I turned 18 or since I started working and contributing to the social security system. And that is irrevocable. I did not delegate my rights to my parents or my siblings. I was declared disabled in September 2015. I was 42 years old. Article 31. General rules. A. The general exercise capacity of the human person is presumed, even when he or she is admitted to a care facility. They demanded that I endorse the treatment. I told them that I did not agree. They threatened me with my mother. I told them, well, tell her that she will guarantee it for you. I left there and on November 5, 2015, I reported them to court number 11 in Bonadio. Subsection. Limitations on capacity are exceptional in nature and are always imposed for the benefit of the person. C. If Alcides had a neighborhood and personal problem with me, they should have called for conciliation or mediation, but never to hospitalization, with the abuse of police force. That is why they did not summon me. Mediation would have ended in a trial against the state, Alcides and all those I denounced. D. State intervention always has an interdisciplinary nature, both in the treatment and in the judicial process. Alcides, that is why the Quirogas is third accomplices of the Argentine government. They repeated intern yourself. Because if I was admitted, it was consistent with Section C, due to the abuse of police force, it was unlawful deprivation of liberty. E. The person has the right to receive information through means and technologies appropriate for understanding. F. The person has the right to participate in the judicial process with legal assistance, which must be provided by the state if he or she lacks the means. He expressly says that when Alcides made the complaint and they passed me over with my brother, they took over my rights from the resolution, violating my rights and the information given to me about what they were doing with me in handcuffs. Everything illegal. I had to have a lawyer, provided by the state. Now it's exactly the same. H. Therapeutic alternatives that are less restrictive of rights and freedoms should prioritize. Article 32. Person with restricted capacity and disability. The judge may restrict the capacity for certain acts of a person over 13 years of age who suffers from an addiction or a permanent or prolonged mental alteration of sufficient severity, provided that he or she estimates that the exercise of his or her full capacity may result in harm to his or her person or to others. C. It does not say damages to third parties, because it is understood that what Article 32 says, that Article 31 was resolved coherently and adequately. It does not speak of damage to third parties. They justify the use of police force, through the Civil Code of 1869, with Article 144, Paragraph 5, of the furious madman who bothers the neighbors. Later in the hospital, they abused Law 22,914 of 1983 and Law 26,667, regulated in 2013. Gustavo said on YouTube, with the complaints made it, my human body is not associated with any crime. The CIA subjects my human body to the satellite. It harasses and extorts Gustavo's mind and body. They boast of such lies, which then repeatedly defame Gustavo. That whole standard will not be changed until 2032. They will not be able to change things with my relatives because they are excluded without a lawyer. Be able to change it by third parties, individuals or businessmen, neither by the Argentine state, nor foreign, the United States. Article 33. Legitimized. They are entitled to request a declaration of disability and restricted capacity. A. The interested party himself. C. The spouse who is not de facto separated and the cohabitant as long as cohabitation has not ceased. D. Relatives within the fourth degree. E. If it were by affinity, within the second degree. F. The public ministry. They used Alcides to abuse the 2005 records, as explained in Law 26,667. Article 3. We must start from the presumption of the capacity of all people. In no case can a diagnosis be made in the field of mental health. A. Political, socio-economic status, membership in a cultural, racial or religious group. B. Family or work demands, lack of conformity or adequacy with moral, social, cultural, political values or religious beliefs prevailing in the community where the person lives. C. Sexual choice or identity. D. The mere existence of a history of treatment or hospitalization. Minister Cuneo Liberona can sponsor any witnesses or the claim of the national state or any company, before the public ministry, which is legitimized to do with the capacity or inability of Gustavo Galarza, with what the state Argentinian wants. Because they continue with the same trend, that Gustavo intern himself, for the benefit of all the criminals here, who extort and bother Gustavo. Article 35. Personal interview. The judge must guarantee immediacy with the interested party during the process and interview him personally before issuing any resolution, ensuring accessibility and reasonable adjustments to the procedure according to his situation. The public ministry and at least one lawyer who provides assistance to the interested party must be present at the hearing. A. Is spoken of as interested, but that is the same for B, for C, and for D. If I am not interested and the spouse or cohabiting parent requests it. B. If requested. C. Relatives. If requested. D. The public ministry. They must comply with Article 35. Personal interview. To whom or in whose name will they file a legal case? In the name of Gustavo Galarza. If Gustavo Galarza is not interested, Gustavo Galarza must unfailingly complete the interview with the competent judge. They never did. Now it's exactly the same. They have to go through that, whoever is interested. Article 36. Intervention of the interested party in the process. Competence. The person in whose interest the process is carried out is a party and can provide all the evidence that supports his or her defense. The request for a declaration of incapacity or restriction of capacity has been filed before the judge corresponding to your domicile or the place of your hospitalization. If the person in whose interest the process is being carried out has appeared without a lawyer, one must be appointed to represent him or her and provide legal assistance in the trial. The person who requested the statement can provide all kinds of evidence to prove the facts invoked. You can see, A. Not me, B. The spouse or cohabitant, C. Relatives, and D. The public prosecutor's office. Anything they want to do against Gustavo Galarza, with the document from the competent authority that occurs to them, the neighbors, my relatives, the public ministry, the media companies, you see, if there is going to be a trial. Greetings to the Supreme Court of the nation, which is the guarantor of the rule of law. They owe me compensation for all the damage done, which has not ended. The jurisdiction and competence, for my claims and complaints, is Comodoro PY. Precisely, the complaint about my illegal and fraudulent hospitalization is filed, with number 12,369 15, in court number 11 of the deceased Judge Bonadio, who is substituted by Judge Ergolini.